On this Friday night, growing concerns for Haiti.
This is the most important year since Haiti's independence.
We talked to Canadians with deep ties to the troubled nation where angry protesters fill the streets. Why the Haitian president says he won't step aside.
We're talking about an invasion of our country.
Donald Trump declares a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border, freeing up money for his long-promised wall. We'll look at why it's far from a done deal.
What should I do if I'm ever in the situation with an abusive coach?
And after we dug up hundreds of cases of sexual abuse in amateur sport, you sent us your questions. Tonight, we answer them. This is The National.
Desperate rage in Haiti has fueled violent protests for more than a week now, and a long-awaited announcement by their president has done nothing to quell the fury. That is grim news for more than 150 Canadians stranded there. Road travel is so dangerous, most won't risk driving to the airport, but overnight, 5 of them did. Last night, we told you about Dr. Emilio Bazil, who went with 4 Canadian colleagues to offer medical services and supplies.
What worries me is more the panic. My dad doesn't usually panic, and he has this panic in his voice.
Dr. Bazil and his team braved a journey from a port city to the airport in the capital, normally 115 kilometers, but blockades forced them onto side roads and stretched the trip to 7.5 harrowing hours. Please do not do what I did because you can get killed, he told the Canadian press. You have to pay every time you pass somewhere. You have to pay somebody $500. Sometimes they ask $1,000 to allow you to pass. They finally hired an ambulance for $250 because emergency vehicles are allowed through the roadblocks. It was worth it. They are now out of the country. So how did Haiti get to this point? The poorest country in the Americas was pushed even closer to desperation by punishing inflation and apparent government corruption. Last fall, it emerged that billions of dollars from a Venezuelan oil deal was missing and no one was being charged. In one day, 6 people were killed during protests. Since then, double-digit inflation has driven up the cost of living. Over the last 9 days, things have reached a breaking point.
Right now, the hospitals are not working. You can't really find clean water to drink. It might be worse than when we have natural disaster. Because you know that, all right, the storm will go and the sun will rise again. But now it's just that a country locked down because of a political situation and an economy situation.
Now the president, Jovenel Moise, has brushed off demands that he resign and promised measures to ease the deprivation. Right now, the situation is so dire, the Canadian government said today it's halting all deportations to Haiti. Montreal is home to Canada's largest Haitian community. The CBC's Alison Northcott talked to some of them.
Probably 2015 or 16, I don't
As a
know.
photojournalist, Daniel Morel has had his eye on Haiti for decades, capturing images of natural disasters and political uprisings. He says the latest protests are different.
The difference is the frustration of the people, the arrogance of this government.
He's eager to return to Haiti to see what's happening now and says the violence won't deter him.
Violence is very important now. If it was not for the violence, the government not going to even give a damn.
Les choses ont repris un tout petit peu.
The ongoing protests have been a recurring topic on the air at Montreal's Haitian radio station, where Jean-Ernest Pierre says he and others in the Haitian diaspora are worried for the country's future.
J'ai mal à mon âme pour mon pays.
My soul aches for my country, he says. He adds that Haiti's president has lost control, failed to deliver on promises many Haitians were counting on, and should step down. Some of the Canadians stuck in Haiti are on humanitarian missions, like Montreal nurse Catherine O'Neill.
Where we are safe. We are safe on the compound. We do not have safe passage to the airport. There are roadblocks in place, barricades, burning tires. Those barricades are manned. They do not allow you to pass.
She says she's disappointed by the Canadian government's response and worries about running out of food, water, and fuel and losing cell service. Also stuck is a group of 26 high school students and their chaperones from Victoriaville, Quebec. The school board says they are far from the violence in the capital and that it's working to get them home safe. As for the 113 tourists unable to leave this resort, Quebec's premier says Air Transat is orchestrating a rescue plan to use helicopters to get them to the airport, then on a flight back to Canada tomorrow. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Donald Trump has gone through with a threat he's been making for weeks, declaring a national emergency to free up billions to build his long-promised wall. And for just about as long, there have been threats of lawsuits and other legal consequences. So the question is, what happens now? Ellen Morrow has reaction.
There was no surprise in how President Trump justified his declaration.
We're talking about an invasion of our country with drugs, with human traffickers, with all types of criminals and gangs.
Never mind that illegal border crossings have overall been on the decline, Trump declared a national emergency, sidestepping Congress to free up $8 billion to build a wall that candidate Trump promised Mexico would pay for.
It's a great thing to do.
But was declaring a national emergency actually necessary? Not really, said Trump himself.
I could do the wall over a longer period of time. I didn't need to do this.
A line seized upon by California's Attorney General as he announced a lawsuit to stop the wall being built.
As the president said himself, he didn't have to do this. There's no emergency here for the nation.
I expect that we'll see that quote in all of the briefs that are filed against him.
And those lawsuits could mean months, maybe years before any ground is broken as the courts consider
whether the president is trying to do an end around Congress's exclusive authority over the purse. And as we know, the only real reason why he's sort of unilaterally declared an emergency is because he couldn't get Congress to agree to fund the wall.
The president seems ready for the fight.
And we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court.
House Democrats have already launched their own investigation, accusing President Trump of a reckless disregard for the Constitution. So what's the end game here? Well, even though he knows any construction will be delayed and that he might not win in the courts, declaring a national emergency allows President Trump to tell his base that he did everything he could to fulfill a campaign promise. That's an important message going into 2020. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
The term national emergency might make you think presidents use the extraordinary power for events happening in the United States, but it turns out most of the time that's not the case. Most have actually been about foreign policy, sanctioning specific governments or targeting the spread of weapons of mass destruction. In fact, of the last 59 national emergencies declared before today, just 3 had to do with emergencies in the U.S., relaxing certain requirements during the H1N1 flu epidemic, after Hurricane Katrina, and in the wake of 9/11, assuming broad powers, including being able to redirect funding for military construction, similar to what Trump hopes to do now, but for an emergency a lot different than 9/11. Well, for more on the political context for the U.S. president, let's turn to Keith Bogue in Washington. And Keith, let's begin with how Trump got to this point.
Well, he got here by promising something he had no idea how to deliver. Remember, he said he was going to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it. It was a great line for campaign rallies because it was such a vivid image to remind his base that he stood for keeping people they don't like out of the country. The trouble is that people on the right, such as Ann Coulter, have built careers on policing the promises politicians make about immigration and the border. So they love Trump for what he promised to do, but are unforgiving when he fails to do it. And Trump apparently cares a lot about what they think. Today, he tried to look as though he's still their champion, still fighting the fight. But Coulter said today, the real national emergency in America is that the president is an idiot. So that's what he got for his efforts.
So we've heard that the fate of this wall is far from certain. How does this play out for him?
Well, it looks like all this is going to be tied up in the courts until after the 2020 election. So you see Trump today preparing his arguments for the campaign about how none of it's really his fault. He blamed the Republican leadership for not moving ahead with the wall in the first days of his presidency, and he was rehearsing his complaints against the courts if they get in his way now. And that's likely to work with his base. I mean, if he believes he could, as he said, shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't cost him a single vote, he surely believes he can get away with blaming someone else for not keeping his border wall promise. But it might cost him among the reluctant Trump voters he got in 2016, not because they care about the wall, but because they don't. They've seen the president waste time, money, and even shut down the government for it and ultimately fail. And that looks like incompetence.
Thank you, Keith. If Trump gets the $8 billion he's looking for through the emergency declaration, it's expected to pay for 376 kilometers of fencing. That is less than a quarter of what he originally said he wanted to build. Let's turn to Canadian politics now, and it's been a rough week for the Prime Minister, facing relentless questions over the SNC-Lavalin story and the resignation of his former Justice Minister. Justin Trudeau insists that Jody Wilson-Raybould was not pressured to steer the corruption and fraud case against SNC-Lavalin away from a courtroom, but he's not revealing much else, and that is only prompting more questions. Katie Simpson walks us through the latest.
This week has been so difficult for the Prime Minister that at an announcement with BlackBerry, the company's CEO joked about Justin Trudeau's political woes.
And one thing I found consistent in the last 6 years is the support that we got from the Canadian government, sometimes not so much from the Canadian media. I'm sure a lot of people resonate with that.
Trudeau faced another round of questions on the SNC-Lavalin affair, admitting his former Justice Minister pressed him directly about the issue.
Jody Wilson-Raybould asked me if I was directing her or going to direct her to take a particular decision, and I, of course, said no.
Trudeau acknowledged the intense lobbying by the Quebec firm and provincial politicians, but denies his office tried to pressure Jody Wilson-Raybould into killing the court case against SNC-Lavalin. But he would not rule out that her demotion to Veterans Minister in January was because she refused to intervene.
There are always a wide range of factors that go into making that decision. But as I said, if Scott Bryson had not stepped down suddenly over the Christmas break, there would not have been a cabinet shuffle.
Trudeau's non-committal answers are frustrating the opposition.
So to me, that just means we really need to get to the bottom of the entire story.
The Conservatives and NDP say Trudeau must waive solicitor-client privilege and cabinet confidence rules to allow Wilson-Raybould to give her side of the story.
She should be able to talk to the Canadian people, and he should stop hiding behind this claim of solicitor-client privilege. It just makes him look bad.
The day-by-day slow drip of new information from the Prime Minister is fueling this saga. And with MPs returning to Ottawa next week, Justin Trudeau will face fresh calls for more transparency. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
A man from Ontario was charged today with the first-degree murder of his own daughter after an overnight Amber Alert came to a heart-wrenching end. 11-year-old Riya Rajkumar was reported missing around dinner time yesterday, Valentine's Day. It was also her birthday and the birthday of her now grieving mother. She was out with her father, Rupesh Rajkumar, but never returned. Her body was found in his Brampton, Ontario home around midnight, just a short while after an Amber Alert was issued. Today at Riya's school, grief counselors were brought in.
It's just really sad.
She was really nice.
As neighbors gathered at a memorial near the crime scene, relatives of the accused said they had no idea what was going on until they saw the Amber Alert.
He was always a cousin to look up to. Like we just never expected this to happen.
Can't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Was totally shocked. We don't, I don't even, it's not like we were speechless. We can't even move when we saw that and heard this bad news.
A motorist who also heard that Amber Alert helped police find the father just minutes later, 130 kilometers away. He's now in custody in a hospital with an undisclosed medical condition. Police are touting his arrest as a success for the Amber Alert system, but it didn't save Rhea. As Ron Charles tells us, there are questions about whether the police moved quickly enough.
This is what people in Ontario saw and heard on their mobile phones last night just after 11:30. But this Amber Alert was issued almost 5 hours after little Rhea Rajkumar was reported missing by her mother. Rhea's father, Rupesh Rajkumar, had the child and had sent concerning messages. The Ontario Provincial Police administers the Amber Alert system and requires cases to meet 3 criteria.
The first criteria is the child has to be under the age of 18. The second criteria is they have to be believed to be in danger. And the third criteria is there has to be informative description, on one of 3 things, the child, the suspect, or the vehicle.
Police in Brampton, Ontario say Rhea's case appeared to meet those criteria, but officers had to investigate first.
Maybe it isn't what they think. We want to cover everything off, right? We don't want to leave anything unturned. Obviously, when we realize, we're not getting it, we're extremely concerned for their well-being. We fill out the form with OPP for the Amber Alert.
Also of concern, shortly after Rhea was reported missing, officers knocked at the door of her father's house where the body was eventually found. But they left without going inside because there was no answer and no car in the driveway. It was only hours later that they finally forced their way in.
At some point in the investigation, they received enough information that they felt that the girl, the 11-year-old girl, could in fact be in the residence and was in need of assistance. So with that information, that threat for somebody's life, they were able to force entry.
The police were asked if they'll review their policy on forced entry when looking for a child.
We want to finish dealing with this portion of the investigation, and perhaps that would be something that would be looked at later.
Small comfort for a mother, family, and community now in grief. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
That late-night Amber Alert also led to hundreds of 911 calls, and we're not talking about tips to locate the suspect. The calls were to lodge complaints about being woken up by the alert. Police were unapologetic, tweeting, as a direct result of someone receiving the alert, we were able to locate the suspect and his vehicle. The system works. Tonight, we spoke to one officer who expressed disappointment about the response.
I'm a parent myself to a young daughter, and I can't begin to imagine what the family of Rhea is going through. Shortly after we put out the Amber Alert, myself and Constable Taryn Hill were the media officers last night. We fielded well over a dozen phone calls. It's frustrating, it's disappointing. It's a 5-minute inconvenience to them, which could potentially help our investigators. Despite the number of complaints we received on the Amber Alert system coming through to people's phones, radios, or TV, we have, for every 1 complaint, we had 3 positive comments from people that were appreciative of the Amber Alert.
Some other stories we're following tonight on The National. Health officials here in Vancouver have now identified 8 cases of measles linked to 3 French schools, and 1 in particular, Nicole Jules Verne.
Cases are occurring in staff, students, and family members affiliated with the school.
One of those individuals visited the emergency department at BC Children's Hospital while they were infectious. Officials say they have not been able to contact everyone who may have been exposed in that instance. They also say the disease was brought in through travel outside of North America. British newspaper The Daily Telegraph says Scotland Yard is investigating an allegation of sexual assault described as groping against former BC Premier Gordon Campbell. The alleged victim says she made a formal complaint in 2014 while Campbell was serving as Canada's High Commissioner to Britain. The newspaper quotes a spokesperson for Campbell saying there was an investigation at the time by the Government of Canada and the complaint was found to be without merit. Still ahead on The National. After our in-depth investigation revealed hundreds of cases of sexual assault in minor sports, you had questions. So Andrew puts them to a panel of experts. And forced out of their dream homes, we'll take you to the Sunshine Coast neighborhood in British Columbia, evacuated because of sinkholes. Plus the big money world of mommy blogging. Deanna Sumanak Johnson goes behind the Instagram filter for a real-life look at the industry.
They wanted us to do outings in the car, and she had tears just pooling in her eyes, and she's like, please, Mom, don't make me do this.
First off, let's get the term straight. Impeachment is commonly misunderstood to mean the removal of a president from office, but it's actually the process, not the result. So, how hard is it to impeach a president? Pretty hard, and that's by design. So, how does it happen? First, a sitting president needs to be formally accused of something seriously shady. In the Constitution, that's treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Next, the House of Representatives drafts and debates the charges and evidence, known as the Articles of Impeachment, and if a majority of the House votes to accept the case, the president is impeached. Now, stuff gets real, with a high-profile trial in the Senate. The president retains his or her own lawyers, the House Judiciary Committee acts as the prosecution, the Senate is the jury, there are witnesses and cross-examinations, and the whole thing is presided over by the Chief Justice of the United States. Sound like an episode of Law & Order? While impeachment proceedings may feel like a criminal trial, it's purely political. A conviction here won't land you in jail, but if 2/3 of senators decide, you will be kicked out of office with no appeal. Here's a trivia fun fact. No U.S. president has ever been removed from office via impeachment. Wait, you say? What about this guy, and this guy? Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton were impeached, but were acquitted by the Senate. And Nixon, he resigned before it could happen. Side note, impeachment is not just for presidents. The U.S. House has also impeached 19 individuals, 15 federal judges, and 1 cabinet member. To summarize, impeachment is the political process of removing from office certain public officers accused of wrongdoing. The House impeaches, and the Senate conducts the trial. But if House representatives are in sync with voters, they're also going to take a good hard look at popular opinion before setting things in motion. Remember, a ton of people voted the president in.
If you become a parent in the last decade, chances are you've either read one or written one yourself. Mommy blogs have become a popular way for new mothers to share the joys and frustrations that come with having children. And for some, it's also become a lucrative job.
The mommy space is now really, really big with regards to, advertisers or like brands trying to work with moms in particular.
Mommy bloggers are a major part of influencer marketing, where brands pay social media personalities to feature their products in their posts. By 2020, researchers say companies will invest $5 to $10 billion in this type of advertising. But as Deanna Sumanak-Johnson explains, all of that money comes with its own challenges.
This one's cute.
At first, Anna Sinclair's Instagram posts about her life as a new mom were just a creative outlet and a way to connect with other women. Then she realized they could be something more. As the number of women following her grew, companies started sending her products to feature on her page in exchange for money or goods.
I understood that people were making money from blogging, but I thought it was just the Kim Kardashians of the world. I didn't think that a regular mom like me would get paid to do this.
But regular moms are a huge market for companies, which is why advertisers are continuing to court mommy bloggers. An average mom influencer makes $50 to $100 per sponsored post, while the top bloggers make 6 figures per year.
There's a huge connection between the person following them and the mommy blogger. They come to trust this person. They start to value her opinion on multiple matters, whether it's child raising or products that they sell.
Events like this one show just how big of a business mom blogging and influencer marketing has become. The Toronto Total Mom Show brings together dozens of vendors with over 1,000 women, many of them bloggers themselves. But with such rapid growth of business come its own challenges. Featuring stories and photos of your children for millions to see is a major component of mommy blogging, and that can get ethically tricky, as it did for blogger Heather Armstrong.
They wanted us to do outings in the car and go places and play word games in the car, and my kids hated it. And my child, I believe she was 4 or 5 at the time, she looked up at me as we're getting into the car, and she had tears just pooling in her eyes, and she's like, please, Mom, don't make me do this.
Armstrong quit her blog for 2 years as a result. Now she's back, but runs all of her posts by her kids, who are now 9 and 15. And there are other potential pitfalls from too much advertising in your posts.
According to our research, the more that these bloggers shift from providing an experience, from showing their personalities, sharing their family moments, to promoting products, that level of trust is starting to diminish.
Say thank you, Mama. You're welcome.
Anna Sinclair says she tries to walk that fine line, staying true both to her followers and her children.
We always talk about how this is the best thing that's ever happened to us. We can still make money and do this, but not have to be gone away from our kids all day. Is that a good one? Yeah. It's a good one, yeah.
Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
And after the break.
What should I do if I'm ever in the situation with an abusive coach?
Do you think that you were able to fairly investigate yourselves in cases of sexual misconduct?
What can we do at the grassroots level to recruit more coaches to increase the pool of people that we're pulling from?
You had questions about stopping sexual abuse in amateur sport. These are the people with the answers. Stick around.
This is me. And this is me shopping. Oh, I know, it doesn't look like I'm shopping in the same way that, say, this does. This is shopping on the internet. If you don't believe the online experience can possibly approach the real thing, well then, you haven't visited the Internet Mall of America.
They've actually created this site so that it's actually like a mall. There are floors, escalators, and look down here. This is just like every women's washroom I've ever been in. You wait forever.
I've now joined the increasing numbers of internet shoppers, gift givers like Catherine Gage, who selects, ships, and delivers the chosen items, all without ever leaving her desk.
The selection is all there. For the most part, you can see things the same as you would in a store, except you don't have to put up with crowds and people pushing and shoving.
Who else shops this way? Recent studies suggest that of the 50 million computer users, about 4 million, roughly 1 in 12, will take time to shop around. Catherine Gage isn't typical. Most online shoppers are men, specifically men between the ages of 25 and 55. That may have something to do with the results of a recent British study suggesting men don't cope very well when shopping in the real world.
And in many cases, women, when shopping, didn't even register any stress at all, whereas men had heart rate increases and blood pressure increases and everything else. Clearly, the shopping experience out in the malls is a stressful experience for men. There we go.
Graham Bennett, who heads up a leading computer publication, points out as interesting as how they shop is when.
Recent statistics said that over 50% of online shopping is done after 9 p.m. in the evening.
In other words, after the real mall is closed. I can explore the shops of the online mall 24 hours a day. I can check out the Vatican gift store in Rome, or I can step into the virtual dressing room at Eddie Bauer.
Maybe you don't like the tucked in look. You can have it hanging out if you want.
Over at the real Eddie Bauer, where they've been offering shopping by catalog for years, they view their online store as a kind of electronic catalog.
To be able to build your outfit, to see what it looks like, to see what the coordination is, and then to virtually call us toll-free and have us ship it to them.
Eddie Bauer reports its online business is doing better than the company expected, but doesn't expect to abandon its real stores.
They really like to come in here and touch and feel.
I have no idea what I want or if I'll like something until I actually see it or try it on or smell it, or depending on what it is.
Companies are trying to bridge the technology gap. At Land's End, you can build a model based on your own personal body type.
Cindy Crawford.
And the technology is getting closer to giving consumers a better look at what it is they're buying.
Take a look at the dashboard close up if you wish. And it's a very interesting capability that at this point could be applied to virtually any product that you wanted to get a sense of what does it look like from this side and that side, highly approachable for fashion and jewelry and a lot of other things where the devil is in the details.
Speaking of jewelry, back in the Internet Mall of America, you know, this is the equivalent of shopping hell.
Well, what I saw was the guy running down the aisle and with a pistol and with a laser on it.
Another mass murder in the U.S. This time, it was at a manufacturing company in Illinois, killing at least 5 people. Police officers ran inside the building. That's when a shootout started. 5 officers were wounded, and the gunman, identified as Gary Martin, was killed. At this point, investigators don't know the motive, but Martin was an employee of the company. Colin Kaepernick has reached an undisclosed settlement in his collusion case against the NFL. The former San Francisco 49ers quarterback started kneeling during the national anthem to protest police treatment of African Americans. It became a national controversy, and Kaepernick, who left the 49ers, hasn't played since 2016. He accused other team owners of conspiring not to hire him. A CBC investigation into amateur sport has been followed today by a message from the federal sports minister. She's promising action when it comes to harassment, abuse, and discrimination. Our expert panel is about to answer your questions, but first, news about a pledge from politicians right across Canada.
This is a long-standing, not talked about issue in sport, and I wanted to change that. I want sport to be safe for children.
Not many details have been released. What we do know is the declaration includes commitments to eliminate gender-based violence against women and girls and work on concussion prevention and awareness.
All this week, we've brought you coverage of a joint investigation by CBC News and CBC Sports that, for the first time, collected and counted sexual offense convictions across all sports over the last 20 years. The findings? Hundreds of cases deep. At least 222 amateur athletic coaches have been found guilty. More than 600 kids victims of their offenses. Our rinks, gyms, stadiums, fields, they are familiar places where kids develop a sense of self, where many people volunteer their time and where others build careers. So how do we keep them safe for everyone?
I'm Todd Jackson, Director of Insurance and Risk Management with Hockey Canada, and I know the importance of creating a safe sporting environment.
I'm Lorraine Lafrenière. I'm the CEO of the Coaching Association of Canada, and I share in caring about a safe sports system.
I'm Karen Kennedy, President of Boost Child and Youth Advocacy Center, and I believe that by working together, we can prevent child sexual abuse.
I'm Dawn Smythe, Director of Domestic Development at Canada Basketball. I'm familiar with the challenges with the NSOs, committed to fixing them and making sports safe.
We have had so much reaction to these stories and a lot of questions too. You've been sending them in. So let's get to question number 1.
My name is Tara Zeri. I'm the mother of a 17-year-old hockey player. The question I have for the panel is, how do I talk to our son about sexual abuse in sport? How do we educate him? And what are the red flags we watch for as parents?
Okay, so a few parts to that question. And Karen, maybe I'll start with you if you can tackle the first part. So how to talk, Tara wants to know how to talk to her son about abuse.
Sure. Well, there's important messages that you need to give to your kids, and they include things like, it's your body, you get to say who touches it and how. You've got to trust your feelings. If you feel uncomfortable about a situation, tell somebody, and tell someone you trust, and keep telling until they do something about it.
You know, it's hard to say as a blanket rule, you know, no touching, because we all know sports, and I think of gymnastics. There's a lot of touching that goes on by necessity. Are there hard and fast rules that you kind of give to parents and say, this is what you should just tell your kid right out of the gate?
Well, I think the most important one is that touching should never, ever be a secret, that you can always talk about it. If it's a touch that you can't talk about, then there's something wrong.
Lorraine, the other part of Tara's question was around red flags, how to spot them, what to look for in coaches. How would you respond to that?
The red flag for me is what I call isolating events. Anything that puts a young person alone with a coach is an isolating event, whether it's on social media and texting or off the field of play in the locker room. And so that's what parents should watch for and talk to their children about, is the expectations in the clubhouse. We're great at the field of play, but we've got to talk about the clubhouse and travel and accommodation and make sure no one is ever left alone.
Texting is an interesting side to isolation, right? That may not be first and foremost when parents think about that. You know, being friends on social media, would you include that in the pattern of behavior to avoid?
We recommend no one-on-one communication on Messenger, on Facebook, on Twitter, on texting. Really, there should always be a person on the copy line.
Todd, from Hockey Canada's point of view, when you hear these sorts of suggestions, are they written down, sort of hard and fast rules in the policy?
You know, certainly as we've built our information, we have put tips in, and we actually have a parent guide on our website at hockeycanada.ca, and in that parent guide, there are answers, I think, to some of the questions that have just been asked here. What do I watch for? What are the tips? Where do I go? And how do I react to these types of situations?
But I guess, I mean, that puts the onus on parents, though, right? I mean, I'm thinking more along, you know, hard policy guidelines that coaches have to follow. No texting, no following on social media, rule of two. You know, and if you have a power relationship, you should not be alone.
There are policies coming up all over the country with respect to social media, with respect to dressing room, 2-deep rule. Those are all really important steps, and you know, that education pillar is so important in getting that to the coach's hands, and that way setting those expectations.
Don, I'm going to let you jump in here, but sure. First I want to hear, there's another question here. This is actually from Tara's son, Stieg. Have a listen.
Hello, my name is Stieg Zeri, and I'm a 17-year-old hockey player and golfer. My question is, what should I do if I'm ever in the situation with an abusive coach? And what should I do to follow up this scenario?
You can speak from Canada Basketball's point of view. What is the rule in place when an athlete encounters a situation that he or she feels is inappropriate or abusive?
Yeah, I think it's really important for them to get into action right away, and so to trust their feelings, trust their gut, and to start reporting. And so
reporting to whom?
Yeah, so that could be anyone from their parents. It could be anyone within the club association. I mean, from Canada Basketball's perspective, Canada Basketball is always there for our members, and if they need to turn to anyone, they can absolutely turn to us, as well as our provincial and territorial organizations. But I think the purpose and the first step is to actually just get in contact.
There's another question that we got, and it very much relates to the process that unfolds. Have a listen.
My name is Kira McCormack, and I'm a former professional soccer player from Vancouver. My question is directed to the NSOs, and it's, do you think that you are able to fairly investigate yourselves in cases of sexual misconduct by your members without there being some kind of a conflict of interest? And do you even think that it's fair that the onus should be on you to do so?
Don, maybe you can start us off on that one. I mean, this idea of reporting internally.
I think, I mean, we have policies on place that's on our website at basketball.ca, and we actually put together an outside committee to actually take care of it. So it's not done within this full-time staff or, you know, anyone who's around that coach. It's being put to a committee that's been appointed that's outside of the NSO, so that it's actually very fair and arbitrary in order to deal with it and get to a resolution.
But this is a committee that's appointed by whom, right? Because, I mean, there can still be a conflict there.
Yeah, I mean, the intention to create it is to have no conflict. I think at the end of the day, as an NSO, we want to solve. We do not want this for our athletes. We do not want this in our sport.
Sorry, just to jump in, it's actually much simpler than that. Any suspicion of child sexual abuse of a child 18 or under has to be reported to the authorities. So before it gets to that point, it's just tell somebody you trust, get that person to do something, make that call to a child protection agency or police, and then depending on what the outcome is, then your process comes in. But the very first step is making that call to report it.
Lorraine, I mean, just on the question, I mean, ought there to be a third-party entity that is always in place to address these sorts of complaints?
Yes, absolutely. We do need independence because people automatically fear retribution, whether real or perceived. So an independent avenue for a helpline, whether it's Kids Help Phone, whether it's Children's Aid, is really important to help the system stay transparent and accountable. So I do think these internal mechanisms are also important because it helps the organization to understand what's going on, get a baseline, and if they deal with it effectively, they get to correct the behavior and fix the situation so they eliminate it from their sport. So it's a balance of both.
But who pays for all of that? I mean, to set up a whole infrastructure around that?
I think that is what the system is currently wrestling with completely. We do have some provinces, Manitoba and Saskatchewan, that actually have helplines in place. We, the Coaching Association of Canada, have a partnership with Kids Help Phone, so we contribute to that organization in exchange for support. We work with the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. There are so many existing agencies, child welfare, child support agencies, that we can partner with these people, but there is a gap in the system and we do need to address it.
So anytime you have a sort of power relationship, right, between a coach and an athlete, anytime you raise an issue, no matter how you raise it, it can feel like you're jeopardizing everything you've invested, everything that all the work that you've put into it, that you may compromise the relationship somehow by raising an issue. And the less egregious the offense becomes, the harder the question is, right? An athlete has to ask this impossible question of themselves. I mean, is this worth raising? I mean, how do you
any good coach, though, it wants to make sure that their athlete performs in their best ability. And if they're doing something that's making an athlete uncomfortable or not being able to perform at that level, any ethical coach would take that information and make those adjustments so that their athlete would be in the best situation for them to perform. So I don't think it's an either or. You don't have to say, I have to be uncomfortable in order to stay with this coach or in this club or in this situation. There's lots of clubs. We're in a big country, fortunately, and you have a lot of choices to be there, and it's not an either or.
We have another question. This is coming to us from Jay about coaches.
Hi, my name is Jay Bose. I'm a father of two and a coach in multiple sports. Every year we struggle finding enough coaches. It seems if you're breathing, we'll take you. So my question is, what can we do at the grassroots level to recruit more coaches to increase the pool of people that we're pulling from, so we don't necessarily have to keep the coaches that maybe we prefer not to?
Okay, so this is a real reality question, right, Todd? How do you encourage coaches?
You know, I think we want to make sure that we're bringing coaches in and that we're giving them all the tools they need, all the resources they need to be good coaches and to know what is crossing the line and what is not crossing the line.
Right. So, Lorraine, let me ask you about that. I mean, does it feel like a safe environment from a coaching perspective? And I wonder if there's an anxiety from coaches about this sort of new era that we're in, especially compared to 20 years ago.
There is an anxiety for certain, and I think what makes great coaches even greater is when they embrace it and talk about it and be transparent about how they're working in a safe sporting environment. So the recommendation I have for coaches is don't shy away, be very public in your conversation, walk through the rules with participants and parents, talk about what they should be expecting in the clubhouse, in the training ground, on the away games, and make everyone understand it. Great coaches become even greater when they share in this type of challenge to make sport better.
We have one more question that we want to get to. This is from Shamir.
Hello, my name is Shamir Kanji. I'm a coach and a director over at the Canada Youth Basketball Association. We serve roughly 1,000 kids in Canada and the neighboring areas. I'm also a father of two boys, age 9 and 11. How do we, as smaller organizations that are run almost exclusively by volunteers, how do we assess where we stand with regards to protecting our youth and where the gaps exist?
So, getting it right down, right, to the club level and offering them the support that they need. Dawn, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of different things. I think first is, you know, what we have about is a club excellence, and it's a standard that we have on our website, again, basketball.ca, and it talks about what are some of those minimal standards to become an excellent club. And, you know, knowing that clubs differ in different ways around the country and have different resources, they have something that they can measure themselves against.
Is there more, though, because, you know, you think of publishing policies and guidelines and rules and suggestions on websites, sometimes that's where they stay.
First of all, we've got to provide easy-to-use tools. So, you know, I'll start with education. We started with an in-class type of scenario 15 years ago. We've moved to online and through Respect in Sport. And now we're seeing that grow in our culture. It's part of everyday business. Every coach is taking it. Every volunteer is taking it in most cases. I think it takes time. It takes patience, and not to wait till it's perfect to put something in place.
What about mandating clubs to make sure that they follow best practices and best guidelines, and for there to be consequences if they don't?
Well, I think some sport organizations have done that, and we're seeing governments shift towards making sure, just like they do with concussion policies, that they have safe sport policies across the country. One thing I might add here is clubs need to think about it as not a pass-fail. This is not about I'm failing, it's about I'm improving. And you know, safety is not an endpoint, it's a journey, and so to keep that conversation alive and be transparent about where things are weak and where they're strong is actually the point to getting better as a club.
Karen, Todd, Dawn, Lorraine, a lot to get through in a relatively short amount of time, but thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for talking about it.
And next on The National, 14 families spent the day scrambling to get out of their houses. Their neighborhood on BC's Sunshine Coast under threat of sinkholes.
We walked around for the first 2 days in shock, depressed, just not knowing what to do. It's been brutal.
So what's next for these families? We'll tell you right after this.
Sunday afternoon in New York, when NFL fans like to get together to talk a little football, lap up a few beers, and watch their favorite game. Except yesterday, with the NFL on strike, they had to make do with a substitute. The NBC network had rushed its telecast crew north to Toronto's Exhibition Stadium and airlifted its broadcast team up for a feverish one-day cram course on the Canadian game. They watched team practices, did their homework on the differences between them and us, and asked scholarly questions at the coach's press conference.
What's so unique about the run and shoot? I mean, I can sit there and tell everybody at home it's a run and shoot. They don't know what the shit that means. And neither do I. What does that mean? All right.
They also studied tapes of recent CFL games.
Jake Godower? He's the commissioner.
All so they could sound smoothly erudite when it came time to expose virgin American viewers to the only professional football game in town. John Brody and Gene Washington have graduated in the intricacies of the run and shoot. Too late to turn back now. NBC has promised its viewers football, and football they shall have. Football from this NBC control center to the bars and living rooms of America. Exotic football. Football with peculiar rules and strange names in a foreign land. Football they'll have to sit still for if they insist on their Sunday afternoon football fix.
In 5, 4, 3, and lose the insert into 2, and Mike Q. Crookie.
NBC Sports welcomes you to Toronto, Canada, on the shores of Lake Ontario, where today...
NFL Stadium stands silent, but we're there to fill the void. We put our best foot forward.
Ready to kick it off now. And here's his kick downfield. He drills it down. It's going to be...
How's this for an opening play to grab the fans? They're gonna love us.
We will watch this again, and you can see the wide shot. This is the old run and shoot. They've got 3 receivers.
The old run and shoot? Hard to believe he just heard about it for the first time the day before.
Like they're ready to go.
We give him action. We dive. We pass. We play our little Canadian hearts out. And we let them interview us during the game, something they can't do in the NFL.
Was there any weakness that...
Do we get any appreciation?
And all these guys would love to be playing in the NFL, I think.
Is that sort of like junior league or sandlot football? I mean, do you go up there and play for a while until you're good enough for American football?
fickle Yankees want Harold, the bartender, to take a democratic vote, the American way, on whether or not they should continue to watch this foreign brand of their beloved NFL.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a voice vote to see if we continue watching CFL or switch over to baseball. Canadian Football League. Those who want it, let's hear you. Okay. Those that want to switch over to baseball?
It's a rough crowd here. They take our moose, they take our fish, they won't take our game. We have bombed in the Big Apple. We gave them our best shot and they turned the dial to baseball. Obviously, you can't convert hardcore NFL junkies.
You voted for baseball. That's right. Well, it's a matter of priorities. I mean, in other circumstances, I might prefer to see Canadian football, but right now with the pennant races and everything, I'd rather watch baseball.
$1 million dream homes with expansive views of BC's south coast are sitting empty tonight. The families who live there are forced to pack up and clear out because of dangerous sinkholes. It's happening in an upscale neighborhood of Sechelt, a picturesque town accessible only by ferry, about 50 kilometers northwest of Vancouver. As Greg Rasmussen reports, there's no word on whether the homeowners will ever be able to return or who's going to bear the cost.
That's the stuff that we are leaving behind.
The remains of an idyllic retirement, abandoned. The rest carted off into an uncertain future.
It's just horrific. It's cruel. Did not need to be put out this way.
Donna and Rod Goy are one of 14 families ordered out of their homes.
We worked all our lives to buy our dream home, and we put everything. All our money is here. Everything is invested in our home.
After years of problems, today the area was sealed shut.
They made the decision this time to close this neighborhood down. They gave almost zero notification, and they did it during probably the worst weather that we could ever imagine to have to go through this.
This drone video shot by one of the residents shows what's at stake. 14 luxury homes, once valued in the millions, now next to worthless. The problem, sinkholes like this one have become more frequent as underground water eats away at unstable soil beneath roads and houses. Engineers say it's so bad, lives are now at risk.
The people who are responsible for this debacle are the district, the developer, the provincial government.
Engineers say a fix could cost more than the town's entire yearly budget of $12 million.
Who's responsible?
That hasn't been determined yet, and I think, today has been focused on, and the last week has been focused on making sure the residents are safe.
Physically, we are going to a 500 square foot cabin.
For now, this family has to grapple with leaving behind a home, upset their son was unable to gather all his belongings before they were shut out.
And there's things that we can't take that are his things. It's just unbelievable.
It's unclear if their home insurance will cover any of this.
We're leaving here in disgrace, and we did nothing wrong. We bought a house in a subdivision that was approved by the district of Sechelt.
For now, they simply have to walk away, with accountability for this mess apparently a long way off. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Sechelt, BC.
Our moment is next, and it's a moment one young Leafs fan will never forget.
To say this made her day would be a massive understatement.
We will show you the scrapbook-worthy snap next. But first, we want to show you a bit of something we have for you on Sunday night on The National. Lance Stroll is the only Canadian on the F1 circuit. He's just 20 years old and heading to his third season on the track. But before that starts, Andrew sat down with the young racer to talk about his new car, what comes next, and distinguishing himself from his famous father.
You have to almost push away a little bit, that you have to dissociate yourself from your dad to kind of tell people, no, I earned my spot.
Well, I do my talking on the track. There's been a lot of criticism from the outside that I fuel off of, because I try and look at everything with with a smile on my face. But my dad's helped me so much along the way, just with support and Without him, the journey over to Europe from Canada and all that wouldn't have been possible. So I'm extremely grateful, thankful, and I know that I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in.
Do you feel like the criticism is unfair?
I think everyone has an opinion, and I accept that, and that's it. That's where I draw the line.
Laser tag certainly looks high-tech, and it comes with a price tag to match. Buy all the gadgets, and it's well over $100. You get a device that shoots an infrared beam, like the remote control on your TV, and a sensor that decides when you've been hit. Kids have been scooping them up faster than they can be brought into Canada, over 100,000 this year. If you've managed to find one for your child, expect somebody else's will want to borrow it.
We want to play it, and they go out and we say no, and they say, oh, please, please, can we play it? It's so cool. And then we let them play it, and they always want to play it.
We see it as probably being the #1 toy, if not this year by the time Christmas rolls around, just because we haven't had the product, definitely for 1987.
The people who sell laser tag don't call it a war toy. They don't even call it a gun. Instead, it's a starlight. But there's no doubt children call it a gun, and they like one of its features, the silencer.
You put the gun, see, this it's loud, listen. And here, there's a switch there, and you put it, you can't hear it. You see, I shoot it and you can't hear it.
The war toys and toys of violence are designed for aggression and destruction, and only for that. They don't allow the child to go beyond that.
At the University of Toronto's Institute for Child Study, they've been watching children play for nearly 20 years. And here they make them check their guns at the door.
We are seeing children displaying a fair amount of anxiety these days about specific kinds of things, such as war.
Children are naturally aggressive, and war toys are one way to relieve that aggression. But at the Institute, they promote alternatives.
And I have watched children who were very angry pound away at a ball of clay and poke it and smash it and so on. So after a while, they became calmer, and the material allowed them to literally reconstruct, to become, instead of a destroyer, a builder.
If the toy is directed as a non-violent play atmosphere, I don't think there is a connotation of violence associated in the child's mind. I think most kids who play laser tag take it as being a futuristic game of tag.
This is the Laser Tag TV show. It's designed to sell the toy while it occupies your child every Saturday morning. There's no doubt children learn from watching these shows, but there's no evidence they learn to be violent. Watching these children, they don't seem to be violent. In fact, they seem so absorbed in the game, they rarely speak to each other. And that's another reason why Jennifer Hardacre is concerned.
Well, yes, children have always played tag, and it's probably a healthy kind of endeavor. For one thing, it exercises the heart and lungs, and it involves a lot of negotiation and a lot of, I touched you, no you didn't, this is home base, no it isn't, and so on, so that always there should be the option of restitution and reconstruction, whereas guns and tanks and so on destroy, and that's the end.
Finland has banned war toys. That doesn't seem likely here in Canada.
Leaf fans are famous for filling seats no matter where the team is playing. Last night in Las Vegas was no different. And one Ontario family got more than an exciting match against the Golden Knights. They got a memory that will last a long time. Ever wonder if players notice fans in the stands? Well, it's pretty clear that Maple Leaf star Mitch Marner did. And his touching Valentine's Day encounter with a young fan is tonight's moment. The sign she made with her mom and dad ahead of the game had one simple but maybe bold request: Mitch, be my Valentine. And as a small bonus, maybe a fist bump, a selfie, or a puck. And guess what?
Well, the answer is yes. Not only did Marner flip her a puck, but he took the time to talk her through the glass, even telling her to turn around to take a selfie.
Her face says it all.
I went right over to her, obviously, saw the sign, and, you know, this is a pretty cool interaction, though.
And because it was Valentine's, the league set the whole thing to music on their YouTube channel. Needless to say, she and her family were over the moon and promised to be at the Leafs game in Arizona tomorrow. You want a video illustration of unadulterated joy? it is her reaction after that selfie. It was incredible. And I don't know about you, but I know so many people who talk about encounters they had with their sports or music, mainly sports idols when they were little, and how that can cement their relationship to the team and the star for their whole life. For me, it was Ken Dryden. I was in grade 8. Only time in my life I was speechless. Made me a lifelong fan of both the Habs and him, and for sure, she is a lifelong Leafs fan and Mitch Marner fan. That is The National for Friday, February the 15th. Good night.